Hi everyone, Highlander here. Today we are looking at the Insane Difficulty Free-for-all achievement, and that is where you have to win a free-for-all multiplayer custom game against 7 insane AI opponents. Sounds incredible, sounds epic, sounds very, very difficult, but really it isn't. So check this guide out. I'm going to give you all the information you need to know to make this as easy as it possibly can be for you. So the map that we've selected is a lava flow, and the reason we've picked lava flow is because in both the top left and in the bottom right hand corners of the map there's an island, and an island's a very, very easily defended place, so that's why we've chosen that. And the first thing you want to do is you want to have your hotkeys on, or your fingers on the hotkeys on O for starters to load your SCVs, and then for L for liftoff, so that you can lift off your command center with its 5 SCVs in it and get straight to mining as quickly as you can on the island. You'll have 1 SCV left over, so it's up to you what you do with him. I've chosen to send him to a watchtower for this first few minutes of the game, but really once people start scouting around and stuff, you might as well just hide him in a corner because you might find a use for him later, you never know. Free-for-alls do get pretty crazy, so it's actually not that hard to keep that guy alive, just off in some random corner somewhere. And yeah, like I said, you never know if you're going to use him. So, what you're doing is you're just trying to get some mining done as quickly as you can, build up some SCVs, and your objective is to get as much gas as possible as soon as possible. Because what we're doing is we're just building an epic, gigantic, enormous battle city of battle cruisers that will fly around and slowly deliver death to anything in its path. To do that, we need an enormous amount of gas, and really it is going to be gas that's holding us back the whole time. We're going to find that once we start getting our mules up, we're going to be able to get all the minerals we need and then some. And rather than building a whole bunch of marines, OP as they may be, just getting a whole bunch of battle cruisers really is the best use of our supply. And if that means that we get to max supply that much slower, well that's fine, so be it. So, that's it for the main start. Now we're just getting our supply depot up, get a barracks up, and the reason we want to get that barracks up is because we want to get to our orbital command that much sooner. Why do we care about an orbital command? I said gas was the most important. Well, an orbital command will give us a mule. A mule is 270 minerals, and that's going to be most of the way there that we need to get this command center up, because we need to access these guys just as badly. So at about 16 supply, I've gotten both of these refineries up, and we're just going to keep on pushing through here at 2 times speed. So we're going straight into that orbital now. You'll find you don't need to build supply depots at nearly the frequency that you used to, because you're not training any military units. You're just training SCVs for ages. The times to keep in mind of are somewhere after about the 15-minute mark, and usually not before the 20-minute mark. You aren't going to see anything incoming at all in a free-for-all. Unless you're extremely unlucky, you're not going to have to worry about anything. So it's just about getting your macro up, getting barracks, factory, just so you can get to starport. They're the only reason that they exist, and maybe to build tech labs to speed time up a little bit for you. So, just plugging away here. A few things for you to keep in mind, a few basics. One, always try to keep your mining a little bit even and send your mules onto the second base whenever you can. And the reason for that is that this base will get mined out first. You will get completely mined out before you attack most likely. So we're going to be wanting to try and drain this one ahead of the other if we can. So always use your mules on the base that you started mining later. Keep focused on that gas, and you're just mainly just focusing towards starports. You build, like I said, tech labs with your barracks and factory, and then you can just lift them up and float them around because they're pretty useless after that. Now, once you've got those starports up, you're going to need to go and get your fusion core, because you need that for a battle cruiser. So don't waste that time if you can. If you have them all ready to go, rather than having an idle starport, just build a Viking. We are going to probably want to have a few Vikings in the max. Somewhere between 3 and 6 Vikings are probably a really good idea. Now do note that we have chosen Zerg as all of our opponents. All of our opponents are Zerg, and the reason for that being is that Zerg have the weakest anti-air. They don't have battle cruisers, they don't have carriers, and both very, very heavy units that can really handle our army very well, whilst corruptors are generally good against those types of massive units with their corruption ability. Really, compared to battlecruisers, they're nothing. Now, this is an interesting thing to note. We've just seen that player 2's carked it, and that's relevant for us because at the start of this achievement, I'd recommend you get a notepad and a piece of paper or a pen. You can just get a notepad or a piece of paper even, and just make a little note, just make a little strike every time you see a player die, because when there's only 2 remaining players, yourself and 1 AI, then there's no point you holding off anymore and you should be pushing out immediately. So just try and keep track, because it's really easy to lose a track of how many opponents you have left. See, another one's just dropped off there. Now, once you've got that factory up, do push towards your armory as quickly as you can, because getting these upgrades, these ship upgrades, take a long time. And you just want to get attack, armor, attack, armor, attack, armor, so that leaving that preference to attack, but just alternating as quickly as you can through those, because that's actually going to take such a long time to get finished. You want to get your upgrades at your fusion core when you can, and I wouldn't worry too much about any of the upgrades that are available at the Tech Lab. They're not really all that important. You can get them if you like later, once you feel you've got some excess minerals and gas to spend. Now, once you feel you're comfortable in your base, then I'd recommend that you get a couple of ravens. You need to have at least 1 raven to spot for burrowed units. That's absolutely critical. But I recommend you get a couple, and I recommend you get them pretty early on so that they can build up that energy. You'll find when you're fighting a whole pack of corruptors and hydralisks that the point defense drone is brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. So if you can drop 2 of those per raven, then that's brilliant, and that's really going to be very good for you. Now you'll find, like I said before, you're going to have excess minerals and then some. So just build missile turrets, get your engineering bay with the high-sec auto tracking upgrade, which increases their range that little bit. You can get the armor if you like as well, and just get as many of them as you really can without eating into the money that you're able to spend on battle cruisers. You should never stop that battle cruiser production. I wouldn't recommend you get anything more than 3 starports. If that's the case, then you probably spend too much gas on starports, because you're not going to be able to produce consistently out of those off these 2 bases. Now, if you felt really good, you could get a medevac, and you could try and sneak some SCVs over to the base at the other side, the opposite island. That's definitely something you can do. I don't think it's necessary. I think it probably just is, it would be ideal. I didn't do that because I was probably just a bit too lazy. But if you're having trouble with this achievement, then do consider that to be one of the possibilities for you. Now, you'll note I was really lucky. Well, it looks like I was really lucky in that I got a starting position that was right next to my island. Don't forget that with any of these achievements, you don't need to do them consecutively, you don't need to do it your first time. So if you've opened up on Lava Flow and you found that your map isn't very good, your map starting position, so like for example you've started here and you wanted to go to one of the islands and you're a long way away from those islands, then just quit the game, load it up again. You don't need to, because this achievement's actually pretty easy, but something you can do. Another thing for you to note, once you get really high minerals, don't waste money on mules. It's not going to help you anymore, so energy on mules. Let your energy build up, and every time it's looking to get near to 200 on each of your orbital commands, just start scanning the map and get an idea of who's left and how big they are. What your main purpose is to just wait until the opportune time to strike. And when's the best time to strike someone? When their back's turned, so you can stab them in the back really hard. So we just keep an eye on whoever's left in the game as a significant force. And at this stage, it's mainly this yellow player and this light purple player for me. And I'm just keeping an eye on them with those scans, so that's fine. Just by keeping that up periodically, we'll have a good idea of what's going on and when we should be pushing out. One little trick you can do as well is you'll see that this blue line means that I have a patrol set up for these units, and when I've built new units I've just had them set to follow existing patrolling units, and that means that I always have a flow of patrolling units going around the edge of my base. Now you can also see that I haven't patrolled right at the edge or right over the gap here. I'm keeping well behind these turrets so that the turrets will start to take any damage, or if it's a bunch of corruptors that have flown over the gap, they're going to be firing well and truly in advance of my units taking any damage. So we're 24 minutes into the game here, and let's just do a quick check of how we're looking. I'm running out of minerals at my first patch. I'm getting quite low at my second. My upgrades are nearly at 3.2, and then they'll be at 3.3 immediately thereafter that. I have a 170 odd supply army that consists mostly of battlecruisers, and I have just scanned my opponents to see that they're attacking each other. So what's the appropriate reaction? Go nail them. So this is it. It's just a matter of moving out at this ideal time, just sending those battlecruisers, and I can see that that purple opponent is moving on to my yellow opponent, so I'm going to head straight for the purple opponent's base. And get ready with those ravens, because as soon as you start to engage that main army, that point defense drone is an absolute lifesaver. It really turns the tide of those battles, and it really cuts into your losses. Now, don't forget that your objective is not to destroy absolutely every single structure of your first opponent that you hit. Your objective is to just critically, absolutely cripple them, and then move on to your next target, because you don't want them building up and getting stronger than you are at any stage. As soon as you feel comfortable doing so, feel free to take your orbital commands, lift them off and move them onto the mainland, and start mining over there. Use that one medevac to ship over some SCVs, and do prioritise the mining of gas, because that really is what you're going to need. Don't forget, you can always drop mules in the middle of a battle anywhere on the map you like, and you can start setting them just by right clicking on auto repair to repairing your army and getting it back up to full strength. This is a great way to keep losses low as you're moving around the map. Otherwise guys, it's just a matter of slowly moving around the map and taking out whoever the biggest target is at the time with your flying army of absolute and pure death. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please, if you do have any questions, or if there's anything you think I've missed, pop them in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, do press like, and if you want to see more of this stuff, or you want the latest in our achievement news, then just press subscribe. Thanks very much guys, best of luck.